Palestine, Israel perpetrates a new massacre in Jabalia refugee camp, north of the Gaza Strip. The attack is reported to have left more than 30 civilians killed. In Uruguay, the training center in a union plenary of workers called for a demonstration of rejection of the political crisis due to the so-called Marcet case. In Spain, Supreme Court called for the respect of the separation of powers in response to the use of the concept of lawfare within the pact between Pedro Sánchez and Junts for Catalonia. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Israel perpetrates a new massacre in Jabalia refugee camp, north of the Gaza Strip. The attack is reported to have left more than 30 civilians killed. According to the correspondent of the Palestinian news agency Wafa, 31 people were killed and several wounded after Israeli planes bombed 12 homes on Monday night. The densely populated Jabalia refugee camp has been the target of Israeli attacks on numerous occasions. One of the deadliest was last October 31st, when the Zionist bombing left at least 195 civilians dead. The total siege on Gaza continued for the 38th consecutive day, which had left more than 11,000 people killed, most of them women and children. In Palestine, health authorities warned about the difficulties in burying decomposing bodies with the Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian health minister warned that medical staff in Gaza are facing difficulties in moving around inside Al-Shifa hospital due to Israeli drones targeting any movement. Also, the authorities warned that some 100 deceased were not buried due to the threats of the medical life staff, adding to the problem to the public health system in Gaza, affected since the beginning of the Israeli operation on October 7th. Hospitals warned that the Israeli occupation contains patients to death due to the lack of medical supplies, fuel, and electricity. Many of the displaced people who had been forced to leave their homes find themselves out on the streets with no security, with nothing to eat except what they can produce themselves. Our correspondent, Noha Racine, shares this exclusive content from the Gaza Strip.
We have been displaced from Gaza, from the Al-Shuhaya neighborhood, because of the bombing of Baghdad Street. We came here to Khan. They sent us to go to the south, and we came here to the south. Here life is difficult. There is no electricity, there is no water. We have to build mud ovens and make bread to give it for free to the people and help them. Here we have nothing, neither electricity, no water. We go out scared and horrified of the situation, and only God knows how we were able to get here because of the terror of the Israeli army. It is something what I can describe it. I can assure you that Gaza has been 80% destroyed. Only 20% of it is left.
Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Sayed calls on the United Nations and the European Union to parachute aid into the Gaza Strip, especially in the north, and accuses Israel of perpetrating the occupation of Gaza.
I appeal to the United Nations and the European Union to parachute aid into Gaza, especially in the north, as has been done many times around the world. We call for the opening of aid corridors in Gaza, not limited to the Rafah crossing. I say to the Israeli Prime Minister, who opposes the return of the authorities to Gaza and wants to maintain the occupation for a long time, that his policy will bring misfortune to them. Gaza is part of Palestine, which has been occupied since 1967, and we don't need anyone's permission to help our people over there.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva accused Israel of killing innocent people without any criteria in the midst of a fight against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The president considered that although Tel Aviv's actions were motivated by the terrorist act provoked by Hamas, the solution to which the Hebrew state appealed was just as serious as the attack perpetrated by the Palestinian group based in Gaza.
In this war, after the act of terrorism carried out by Hamas, The consequences, the solution of the State of Israel, is as serious as that of Hamas, because they're killing innocent people without any criteria. Dropping bombs where there are children, where there is a hospital, under the pretext that there is a terrorist, it has no explanation. Let's save the children and the women first, and then fight whoever they want to fight with. I had never heard of children being the preferred victims of a war. The number of women and children who have already died, and the number of children who have gone missing, is unheard of in any other war.
Let's take a short break. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, fully find news in different formats, new days, and more. Other studies coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Uruguay, the training center interdisciplinary workers called for a demonstration and rejection of the political crisis in the so-called Marcet case. The mobilization would take place at 18 local time on Monday at Libertad Square in defense of democracy against corruption. The president of the organization, Marcelo Abdala, referred to the recent events related to the handover of an official passport to the drug trafficker, Sebastián Marcet. The investigation of the country's authority indicates that due to the Uruguayan passport, Marcet was able to leave the United Arab Emirates, where he was imprisoned for carrying false Paraguayan documentation. In Panama, Organization of the National Alliance for the Rights of the Organized People and ADEPA maintained protests against mining concession for the 24th consecutive day. According to the member association, the street blockades will continue until Law 406, which gave life to the contract between the states and Minerva Panama, a subsidiary of Canadian First Quantum Minerals, is revoked. It is suspected that on Wednesday 15, Thursday 16, and Monday, November 20, rallies and blockades will be carried out against the appeal hearing presented by the defense of the alleged murder of 2 people who were protesting against the mining concessions in the district of Chame on November 7. Former Mexican Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard broke the uncertainty surrounding his political future on Monday when he announced that he will continue to be part of the National Regeneration Movement, Morena, and of the self-styled Fourth Transformation initiated by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Ebrard stated that he belongs to the Fourth Transformation that Mexico is going through, and he will not change his mindset. The politician had conditioned his permanence in Morena to a response offered by Morena to the complaints he filed for serious irregularities in the internal process of the party, which in his opinion required the repetition of the process. This gave rise to speculations about his eventual presidential candidacy through the Citizen Movement Party. The leader emphasized that in his campaign he offered Mexicans the next level of the Fourth Transformation. Political organization of the Venezuela opposition sectors went to the main headquarters of the National Electoral Council, CNE, to participate in the registration process in support of the December 3 consultative referendum. The opposition political organization which registered to support the referendum were received by the authority of the highest electoral body. Likewise, social sectors related to these parties are doing the same, who affirm that they agree that all the Venezuelan people must defend the Essequibo. It is since the Secretary General of the political party, Election and Citizen Movement, Timoteo Zambrano, made a call to the people of Venezuela to go out and defend the sovereignty of Venezuela by answering the questions of the referendum. The Executive Vice President of Venezuela, Desi Rodriguez, arrived at The Hague, Netherlands, to defend the right of the people of Venezuela over the Guyana Essequibo. The President indicated that she is attending the meeting to be held on Tuesday at the International Court of Justice, although she does not recognize its jurisdiction in order to defend the legitimacy of the referendum. Desi Rodriguez pointed out, Venezuela will never accept expression of judicial colonialism regarding the territorial controversy with Guyana. She also reiterated that the Geneva Agreement is the legal instrument with which both nations must solve the territorial disputes. Desi stressed that the government of Georgetown can do nothing with respect to the consultative referendum in spite of illegally requesting provisional measures to the International Court of Justice to stop or reject the popular consultation.
Llegamos a La Haya para defender a Venezuela.
We are here in The Hague to defend our historical right to Venezuela and to tell the world that nothing and no one will stop the consultative referendum to be held in Venezuela on December 3rd in defense of our Guayana Esequiba with great strength, accompanied by the will of our people as one country. Here we are in The Hague to defend Guayana Esequiba on December 3rd. Everyone should vote for our consultative referendum.
Spanish Supreme Court called for the respected separation of powers in response to the use of the consular law for winning the pact between Pedro Sanchez and Junts per Catalunya. The Spanish judiciary recalled that the rule of law demands absolute respect for the division of the powers and rejected the supervision of oversight of the jurisdictional functions by other branches of the states. The judiciary statement comes after the amnesty bill agreed upon between the Catalan party and Sanchez considered to set up a commission to establish the release of imprisoned Catalan pro-independence politicians, taking into account situations derived from the lawfare of judicialization of politics. The Spanish Supreme Court finally reiterated that this ruling is in accordance with the law and ensures equality in its application. The investiture vote for Pedro Sanchez's new term as head of government in Spain has already its dates the 15th and 16th of November. At the same time, the People's Party has called for new elections in demonstrations jointly organized for the far right. A correspondent in Spain, Sergio Rodrigo, with the story.
The People's Party has called again on its supporters in more than 50 cities throughout Spain, attacking the new government to which it has urged to submit once again to the people's sovereignty.
We will continue. We will not give up. We will not shut up until we can speak in an election, where we can all have our say again, and where we can all again vote, because what is being done is the opposite to what we have voted for. Why are we afraid of elections? Why are they afraid of the polls?
Hundreds of thousands of people all over Spain have rallied against the deal between the Socialist Party and the Catalan nationalists, which considers the approval of an amnesty law.
If he wants to pacify Catalonia, he cannot do it at the expense of dividing Spain. You are bringing about a confrontation of the society, which I find absolutely unacceptable, worrying, and alarming.
Experts affirm that the protests are the reaction to the right-wing narrative of selling a coup after the Socialist pact with independence and nationalist forces in Spain.
In view of the formation of the new government, which would be headed again by Pedro Sanchez from the Socialist Party, with the support of left-wing groups, Catalan pro-independence groups and Basque nationalists, the right wing in Spain has reacted in a vicious way, trying to frame these pacts as a sort of a coup d'etat.
While protests are being called against the amnesty law, all kinds of ultra-right groups are taking over the demonstrations on the streets.
These calls are being attended by all sorts of right-wing and far-right-wing groups that have ever existed in Spain, from people sympathetic to these parties to neo-Nazis or openly pro-Franco groups.
Spain is going through one of the most stormy government formations in recent decades, which will finally lead to a social democratic government in coalition with the left.
Sergio Rodrigo, Lucía Muñoz, teleSUR, Andalucía, España.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel, teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch her interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. On Monday, rescuers in northern India battled for a second day to save 40 workers trapped on the ground after the road tunnel they were building collapsed, bringing down tons of debris. Teams using heavy excavators have been working non-stop since the collapse early Sunday morning to clear a pile of concrete and earth, but with more debris falling as workers tried to clear a passage. A giant steel pipe was being perforated as an escape route. Kanavir Singh Bandari, a senior commander in the National Disaster Response Force, told AFP all the 40 workers trapped inside the tunnel are safe, adding that water and food have been sent. Oxygen was being pumped into the blocked portion of the tunnel with fluid sent through a water pipe. The government's highway infrastructure company said that the team plans to use a heavy machine to drive a steel pipe with a width of 90 centimeters, wide enough for the trapped men to squeeze through. In Gabon, the military government that overthrew President Ali Bongo Ondimba this summer announced on Monday that the presidential and legislative elections will be held in August 2025, according to an indicative calendar to be validated by the National Conference next April. According to a spokesman of the military power, in August 2025, there will be elections and it will be on the end of the transition. The military spokesman indicated the calendar will be submitted to a national conference, including all divided actors of the nation, scheduled for April 2024. Ali Bongo succeeded his father as head of Gabon. His 14-year rule ended on August 30 at the hands of military leaders moments after he claimed victory in the presidential election that both the army and the opposition declared fraudulent. Kenyan President William Ruto held talks in Nairobi on Monday with Sudanese General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, head of the Transitional Sovereignty Council of Sudan. The two leaders held bilateral talks on the recent security situation in Sudan and the region. They underscored the urgent need to find a solution to the conflict in Sudan, to work towards a cessation of hostilities, and to commit an urgent intergovernmental authority on development in Eastern Africa summit to set conditions for the broader peace process. Almost 7 months of war between Sudan's military and the powerful paramilitary groups have led to wave destruction. Over half the population is in need of humanitarian aid, and people fear a repeat of the deadly ethnic conflict in Darfur 20 years ago. Kenya's government announced an expected polling holiday on Monday for a nationwide tree planting day. It was part of the African nation's ambitious plan to plant 15 billion trees by 2032. Kenya's current forest cover currently stands at about 7%, but the government has set aside more than $80 million this financial year as it bids to increase tree cover to more than 10%. Michael Kisanji, CEO of Soul of Africa Tours and Travel, said trees were a vital part of the country's wildlife. Kenya continues to suffer from an illegal logging and trade in many of the forests that are vital to the country's water catchment areas. Climate change is worsening droughts in the Horn of Africa, including Kenya, where rains have failed for 5 seasons in a row. Kenya's president has made the national landscape and ecosystem restoration program a priority since assuming the presidency in September 2022.
It's a great opportunity for everyone, even Kenyans, to get an opportunity to plant trees, because we got to take care of our environment, and because especially doing it here in the park is the most critical place to be, because it's where we have the wildlife, and trees are part of the world, and so we're taking care of the environment, and for sure it will give it back to us.
Firefighters and volunteers battle large wildfires day and night in the wetlands of Brazil's Pantanal and Mato Grosso states, where wildlife is severely threatened. Known as Brazil's Jaguar Sanctuary, Encontro das Águas State Park has already lost 32% of its area to flames, according to the Institute Center DV. Biologist Gustavo Figueiroa for the NGO SOS Pantanal points out that the fires are completely out of control and fears an increase in fires in the coming days as weather forecasts predict a heat wave. Specialists say that the fires are mainly caused by human action, particularly the use of incineration and burning techniques for agricultural expansion. The National Institute of Meteorology of Brazil issued an alert for 30 states and the federal district due to high temperatures that affect at least 100 municipalities in the country. The alert for high temperatures will be maintained until midnight on Wednesday, November 15, 2023. Authorities warned that temperatures could reach 40 degrees centigrade in Campo Grande, Cuiabá, and Rio de Janeiro, while in Sao Paulo they could reach 37 degrees. Experts assure that the rise in temperature led thousands of Brazilians to seek refuge in the water of the country's bathing resorts. The Civil Defense said of Sao Paulo forecast conditions for thermometers to register slightly higher values. And we have come to the end of this brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscast and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. And you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social networks, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.